Howdy. Ho ho, my good humans. How the hell are thy doing? This is Unnecessary Rambling. I'm Brandon Sylvia. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Loon is joining me here today to dive into the chaos that is the 2024 Game Awards. Loon, everything was announced. The nominees are out. How are you feeling about this year's Game Awards?
Um, I think I said it to you when we hopped into the call. I think a lot of people were going to be very annoyed if many of like the Eastern developers didn't get many nods. A lot of people were kind of getting ready to defend that. They've got a good selection of them in there, which is
Yeah.
what I've I mean that didn't shock me. I don't know if it shocked you. I thought that they were going to get a fair spreading
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I knew
across
this
the
year was
board.
going to be loaded with Japan crushed it this year.
Mm.
And also, as you're going to see here, we'll go ahead and jump straight into Game of the Year, the nominees. Um Black Myth Wukong, man. I mean, oh, is this the first game out of China to it might be the first game out of China to get a Game of the Year nod, or at least in definitely in recent memory. Which I don't know. I think this might be the first one ever. That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, because they're usually really strict with what because it has to adhere through the Chinese government, right? Whenever they publish anything like that, like games and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not
So
100% sure. I know there's some degree of that for sure.
yeah, so I think this is the especially. I don't know if there's been previous games, but for the mainstream and breaking out into like actual critical success, yeah, this is hands down the first game for them.
So what do you think? Game of the Year. Here are the nominees. We have Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor ReFantazio. Metaphor went in, and I think we both predicted was gonna get a lot of nominations, and it did.
Mm.
So how are you feeling about these nominees, man?
Um, I'm fine with Rebirth. I'm fine with Metaphor. I'm fine with Black Myth. It's heartwarming that Astro got a nod.
Yeah.
That was for me, it was a no-brainer that it would get in there, but it still had that kind of like, maybe it doesn't, maybe it gets kind of shoulder barged down. I'm surprised Balatro made the list, if I'm being honest. I know they always kind of try and put in like a more lower budget indie game. So, but with this being such a stacked year, I was kind of surprised that Balatro took a spot over something like, say, Infinite Wealth.
Yeah. I would have loved to have seen Erd Tree removed and Infinite Wealth added in.
Mm,
I would have loved to have seen Erd Tree removed, and there's a number of different games that you could have threw in there. A Helldivers 2, a Silent Hill 2. But once again, remake versus expansion. I think there's argument to be made there that if Silent Hill 2 remake belongs, then Erd Tree belongs. Like I think you can make I've heard arguments across the board for that. And I
yep.
think there's compelling arguments to be made on both sides. I will say though, the one like Infinite Wealth is really the only one where it's like I don't know, Tekken 8. There are a few games, honestly, that I would have liked to have seen replace Erdtree. But that's also I just don't like having DLC anywhere near Game of the Year. I think that if you want to say, oh damn, this DLC had an excellent story and it's a standalone brand new story, then let's nominate it for best narrative. Oh damn, this DLC had an excellent whatever, best performance from some new actor in the DLC. Well, let's nominate that actor for best performance. But nominating a DLC for Game of the Year, I don't love. But once again, I might be just kind of an old head take. Balatro predict when I predicted Balatro for Game of the Year, that's one of the ones I'm actually somewhat proud of. I felt like there was a real swelling of
Mm,
support for this thing over the year, and it was one of those things where I feel like anybody who really played Balatro ended up falling in love with it. You know what I mean? I don't think many people who dove in for more than like 4 or 5 hours were able to easily pull themselves out of it. It's a very addictive experience. So, Loon, here we are. It is time to actually lock in our predictions. And as you see, I'm not going to actually vote because we're both going to be making our own uh predictions here, and I'll actually jot them down
Mm.
as we go through just to keep a good record of it. Loon, what are you thinking is going to win Game of the Year?
It's kind of like a nice relief that it's not us having to predict who are the spots now. We
Right.
have what are the final six, but you also have that thing of like, oh man, I I think it's wrong, but I think Tree is gonna be a really big upset for people, and I think it has one of the bigger chances on that list of actually taking it. Because if it's made it to this final six, think of how many people have voted that in there.
No.
Like, and to put it into perspective, I think he posted how the voting process works. Like, the majority of what's tallied up is from the journalist side, and then the actual player vote count only contributes like something like 10%, something crazy small like that, right?
Yeah.
So even if you had an overwhelming amount of people that were like Black Myth, Wukong, that's still only gonna, equate to 10% of like a tally. I
Yeah.
don't want it to be Erdtree though. I do want to make that clear now. Like, I think when we were talking about it, I even have like a stricter thing. Like, I don't think remakes should be here because they're built off of a foundation of something that come before that, whether or not how much you're changing about it. I think that we're getting to the point now where so many remakes are happening. You could even keep it if it's a slow year, make it its own award thing and put three nominees in there. Have it like
Yeah.
a reactive year of if it's a slow year, have three nominees. If it's a big year, six nominees, and just be what we need to see from the Game Awards moving forward is no stagnation. You need to be adaptive because once you start stagnating with these award things, you start to get this kind of reception where people are getting angry and stuff about what's being actually nominated in what categories and stuff. So I think there does need to be a little bit of an overhaul this year.
Yeah. And I mean, I think too, you know, I I don't think that I think there's a lot of merit to that idea to have a best remake, best remaster category and a best DLC/expansion category. Like I can understand people being like if expansions don't belong, then neither do remakes. Like I don't think that there's I lean more towards being okay with remakes, but that's also because like The Last of Us Part 1 hasn't been nominated yet. What when we get to that point, when games
Mm.
that are 8 years old, 9 years old are being nominated, then say we remake I don't know, Horizon Forbidden West gets remade in 2028 and it gets nominated. It's like, yeah, that would really irk me. You know what I mean? So I don't think we'll get to that point. So that's why I've been more favorable to remakes being nominated. But I can understand the logic. If DLC and expansion shouldn't be nominated, then maybe neither should remake. Um, Astrobot, I think, is a fantastic, fantastic video game. I loved my time with it. I think that that has a shot just in terms of, once again, everybody who played it seemed to love it, similar to Balatro. Black Myth Wukong, I don't think is gonna. I think it could win the popular vote, like for
Yeah.
the consumer audience. I don't think the critics, like we talked about, it's only sitting at like an 81 on Metacritic. Erd Tree. All right. If like you said, if Erd Tree's there, then it has a strong likelihood of winning this thing. I think it really comes down to these final three: Erd Tree, Rebirth, and Metaphor. I think those are really the only three that if I'm being real, I'd love to see something like Astrobot win. I'd love to see something like Belacher win. I think it comes down to Erdtree, Rebirth, and Metaphor. Mm, 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 mm. I damn Loon. This is actually kind of tough.
Mm.
I'm gonna go Rebirth. I think I'm gonna go Rebirth. I I don't know. Like I think Metaphor is a better game in a lot of ways. Um, I think Rebirth just Rebirth's combat is so damn good though. So damn good. the kind of strategic elements and the action elements fused together, which Metaphor has some degree of that as well. But Rebirth, man, it's on a different level. The combat. I'm gonna go Rebirth for the win on Game of the Year. And once again, this is not us picking what we want to win. This is us
No.
predicting, yeah, this is us predicting what we think is gonna win. So I'm gonna go Rebirth for Game of the Year. Anything else you want to jump to Game of the Year, or do you want to jump into a new category?
No, I think they're both, like you said, it feels more realistic that it's going to be one of them three. And I think whatever it goes with this year, I think it's going to be a really big upset. Whatever ends up winning in some way.
I know it's a weird kind of pet peeve of mine, but I wish all six games were listed on the screen together. Like I wish you didn't have to scroll down to get to
Yeah,
Metaphor.
yeah, it is a bit weird. I think this is one of the few categories that only lists six though, right?
Yeah, one of the
So
only ones.
yeah.
All right, best game direction. Just let my internet, slow ass internet has to catch up here for a second. It's gonna take us
It's
an
like,
hour.
no, talk more about Black Myth. Talk more about Balatro.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy, this internet is taking its time. I will say I don't know how many uh Chinese outlets are voting. Um it
I don't think
definitely
any are.
oh
I
man,
don't
then
think
yeah.
any got the cut, if I remember. I think he posted who were the outlets that were getting the nod and stuff, and I don't think any of them are Chinese, to my
Jesus.
knowledge.
Yeah. That's a bummer. That is a bummer. Um all right, so best game direction awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. How the fuck is Erdtree in here?
Yep, no, I'll take that straight away as like that shouldn't. Like, I'm sorry, like, it's really good. Elden Ring had a right to be that,
Yeah, of
but you
course.
can't turn around and say innovation because you can't innovate what's already there. Like, you've already broken that mold of a Souls-like and put it in an open world, so you've not really innovated. The only thing you changed was very, very minor game mechanics, which that's not enough to put you on that. But yeah, the other half of that for game direction is creative vision. So I guess it could be argued to be put there, but yeah, that does feel a bit
Yes.
wrong.
It's just like to me, I think you see so many examples here that are truly innovative. Um, and it's like Blood and Wine, like it's not Phantom Liberty. You know what I mean? Like we've had expansions that are pretty much like their own brand new experience for years and
Mm,
years. Like we're 10 years in plus to expansions being this deep and rich. Like what is it doing in terms of expanding what we look at as DLC? Like I don't know. I mean, hey, um, I think you could argue that Rebirth for best game direction doesn't make a whole lot of sense either. You know what I mean? I mean, it is kind of taking an original story and spinning it. Yeah, you know what? Actually, I'll take that back. There is some level of innovative craftsmanship that's going into the idea of like, okay, this was how the story was told originally, and we're actually taking that and
yep.
remaking that, but also putting our own unique spin to add like new flavor to this story. I think that is actually pretty damn innovative and also fits the bill of like a real creative vision. And
Mm.
good game direction, great game direction. So I don't, yeah, I actually take that back. I don't feel that way at all.
Yeah, I was gonna defend old Rebirth there, but you beat me to it. So I was gonna say about the mini games as well, like they're really good inclusions and stuff. Even though if you didn't gel with them, like the amount of effort that was put into them, that's crazy creative vision that put them in there and to make them for the majority of them to be fun as well and not just a slog to get through.
Yeah, and I mean, you could look at that as innovation and creative vision in a weird way too, where it's like 80% of the game is mini games. Like you
Yeah.
don't often see big AAA blockbusters allowing for that to take such a for that to take such a focus away from this handcrafted narrative and all these big emotional moments. It's like, go fuck off with minigames for 45 hours. Um, Best game direction, Loon. So the nominees
What was the
Astrobot,
sixth? It was Metaphor, right?
yeah, Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Shout of the Archery, Rebirth, and Metaphor. So all the same games that were nominated for Game of the Year.
Hmm. See, my surface level knowledge, because I've not played Rebirth or Wukong, I would kind of have to like skate off of it and go off of what you've said. Erd Tree wouldn't make the cut for me. And I'm going to be very harsh here as well. I don't, I would probably cut Metaphor from this list
Oh, really? Oh,
because for
Persona.
me, for it's so, this is the thing. You have a winning formula, but that's if that's able to get a nod, then Erdtree should be getting the same level of a nod then in that kind of aspect. So for me, it drew so many similarities to Persona. It did do some things differently, of course, but I don't think it did enough differently. This isn't like that massive step. Like it's not like an original Final Fantasy VII 2 Rebirth kind of difference. So if it was me, I would hope something would take the nod over it. I'm actually gonna. It's for me. It's between Astrobot and Rebirth. I would probably say. Um,
Dude, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and lock mine in. Balatro. I don't think that there's ever been a design where you turn poker into a roguelike. They built a new card game. They built like
mm,
entirely new systems to be played inside of a card game. Like that is incredibly innovative, incredible creative vision. I don't like I don't know if the jury will I think this is more one of those heart picks like this is what I would vote for, and so I think I'm just going with it in that regard. But I think out of everything here the most creative game and the most innovative game, like I would have to say is Balatro. I mean, that's an
yeah,
entirely new way to play fucking poker, a game that's been around for centuries.
yeah. No, that's a really good show. It'd be like a game being based on chess, but reshuffling the formula mold. And as to my knowledge, you don't even need to know how to play poker either, right? In Balatro, like it's
You,
fairly you. It gives you enough leeway to be able to play and enjoy it at a surface level and then begin to pick up what you're meant to be doing. You don't need
y
to be like a master level poker player.
No, definitely not, because
So,
I'm not at all. But I've
yeah.
played poker my whole life, and it
Mm,
helped early on knowing how to play poker helped early on. But and I shouldn't say I've played poker my whole life like I've been in the fucking casinos playing poker, but like just with buddies playing poker. Like I'm not great at it, but it did help to know, okay, that's a flush, that's a, you know what I mean? Like it helped to
yeah.
know just general sort of very simple knowledge of poker. But when you get an hour into the game, it becomes its own unique thing that really doesn't have much to do with poker at all. Adding in
Okay.
multipliers and yeah, yeah. So, anyways, I'm gonna go Balatro for my pick for best game direction.
I'll refrain from hot picks like that because that is a really good shout. That would have, if it was us picking the winners, you would have swayed me there. I would have
Yeah,
conceded all the other things. I'm gonna probably lock in Rebirth,
yeah.
probably.
And to be fair, I don't think that's even a bad pick. I think that's a fine pick.
But shout out to Astro Ball for
Yeah.
crushing it as a platformer in this year and making it, actually relevant to play platformers again because boy oh boy have they laid dormant on anything but Nintendo consoles.
Man, I think when you really, once again, creative vision, innovation, I think you could make a strong case for Astrobot. I don't know of any game where you've plucked out characters from your first party lineup and you have placed them all with their unique powers, unique, skill sets that they have in those games. And then you have Astrobot acting as those characters, performing all of those moves just
Mm,
like they are performed in the base, like the when you're playing as I mean it's in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler, but like when you are playing as Kratos, the little Astro Kratos, you're throwing the Leviathan axe and retrieving it and solving puzzles. Like there's sections of Astrobot where you're playing as first party Sony characters, and the game design is better in Astrobot for those characters than it is in the actual first party. Like, I think the puzzle design in Astrobot when you're playing as little Astro Kratos is better than the puzzle design in God of War Ragnarok and 2018's God of War by a mile.
mm,
And it's like, uh, I think that that is pretty damn innovative. There's so many unique mechanics, and yeah. So I think that'd be a fine pick as well. So
mm.
just to, yeah, I'm locking in Balatro, you're locking in Rebirth.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's let the internet see if it can see if it can load up for us. All right. I'll refresh it again. Here we go. Good.
All
This
right,
it
we will just talk shit until it loads.
it looks like it's just one refresh and it pops back up. But
Oh, there we go.
yeah, for anybody wondering why I can't do damn
Live streams.
yeah,
Do live reactions.
I'm trying to figure it out. I'm working behind the scenes a little bit, trying to potentially uh I like, trying to potentially hire a producer, not to hire a producer full time for the channel because obviously I don't have money for that, but just like little one-offs,
Mm.
hire here, I'll pay you some money to do this one-off stream if you can help me set this shit up because Lord knows my internet fucking totally tanked.
Have
But
you
I do
seen, completely off topic, have you seen the Skylink thing they've got?
Starlink,
The help, yeah, whatever it was called. The
Elon
help,
shit.
yeah, to help with people living in like places where the internet speed isn't there yet.
Yeah, and we
Fucking
actually
amazing.
I walked into Best Buy the other day. Um, this is a whole tangent, but I walked into Best Buy the other day to return my MetaQuest 3. I didn't tell you about this yet, I don't think. I bought a
Nope.
MetaQuest 3 to play Arkham Shadows. And we'll talk about it at the end of the month when we do our ranking. But I walked in to return that MetaQuest 3 and I saw a fucking pallet of Starlinks just sitting there. And I was like, "Oh, y'all are selling these straight from Best Buy now."
Mm,
Huh. Okay. So I think I might have to hop into Best Buy and give that a little look because they're talking about like 200
yeah.
yeah.
It's like top tier internet, and all it is like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. Because I was watching, I think Joe Rogan was talking about it and stuff. And they were breaking it down, and it's just like, it's not even that big. And then it just beams it straight there, and then you just have it. You can have it anywhere. Like they were talking about, like just being out in the middle of the ocean and just having internet access. Like it's, yeah, boy,
Yeah.
how far we've come.
I swear. Yeah. And I know that because I go into my Best Buy frequently and I haven't seen that until just the other day where they're just sitting there because I didn't want to order it online because if
Mm,
something's fucked up, like I don't want to go through that whole process. Like
yeah.
I'd like to be able to take it straight back to my Best Buy. Man,
Mm.
I try out equipment, technology and shit all the time at my Best Buy. And I'm just, yeah, shit sucks, taking it back. And it's such a great return process because I know the people there. They know I'm not like I spend a lot of money there.
Mm.
So they know I'm not like scamming them or anything, but I'm able to actually try out things. And if it doesn't work, it's like, cool. I know these people. I go here frequently. Like I'm not scared to try to return it and end up getting, stuck with this $500 item.
Did
Um,
you, sorry to just drag out, did you see the price? Do you
no,
remember it? Because that's the thing that was like kind of getting thrown around a little bit, which I don't know. That's why I was hoping if you had seen it. Like they were talking between like 200 and like 500, I think,
that ain't bad. I
which
mean,
isn't bad at all for like an upfront cost. And then I think you do have to pay like it's either a yearly subscription kind of thing, where they obviously your service provider thing, but that's it. Like for me, if I was in that situation of like, because I had really crap internet at one point to the point where I couldn't even like upload a video. It just wouldn't, it would never complete the process because it would take too long. And like I would snap that up for 500 in a heartbeat.
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah. Yeah, I need to look into it more, especially just for the amount of internet that I use to try to,
Hmm.
get this show operational. It's probably worth the investment. But let's move on
Best
into
narrative.
there. I have a real bone to pick here, and
I do as well, and I think you're also probably gonna be kind of surprised with my bone to pick.
well, hit me with yours, and then I'll hit you with mine.
I don't think Infinite Wealth should be here.
Wow.
And I say this because it, don't get me wrong, I don't think Hellblade should be here. Like, that's probably got to be your bone to pick. Like, that shouldn't be anywhere near this list.
No, I'm fine with Hellblade.
Oh,
I
oh,
I,
damn.
I hate Silent Hill 2 being here, the
Oh,
remake.
oh
I
boy, we got
I
some hot takes in this baby.
like this actually bothers me a lot, man. I mean, they added in a little bit of new story shit, but not enough to warrant best narrative for outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game. What did you
Mm,
develop in this narrative? Like that sucks to me. There's like a couple new little endings added in and shit, but the base is completely there. I would have been much more okay with this being nominated for Game of the Year than Best Narrative. You know what I mean?
mm.
Like I think that yeah, they did a lot of work on building the game. They rebuilt the entire game. They did not rebuild the entire narrative.
That's fair. That's fair. See, my bone to pick with Infinite Wealth is I'm not going to deny it's a great story, but the problem that I have with Yakuza games is that I've played nine of them now, nine, ten, maybe I think. And once because you've even played a few, the story is very, very similar. And the more you play like that, they are just very, you can a lot of the time see where their story curveballs are coming from because they've already done these kind of wacky out of left field shit. So it does get a little bit exhaustive because it kind of suffers as well when I'm playing it. Because you got like, oh, I can't even remember. It would have been like 20, maybe 30 hours in Infinite Wealth, and then they like roadblock you and force you to do something that you don't you're in like the climax. You're building up to this like intense thing, and then they go back to the wackiness. And when you're forcing that in and roadblocking and being like you have to interact with this to get back to that, like that really irks me. That takes me out of the narrative experience personally.
Yeah.
Because it's like I love you for your wackiness. Don't take that out of the game. You know, that's one of the biggest things that I trumpet for Yakuza games, but don't use that as like a roadblock for the rest of the story. Like that's really jarring.
Yeah.
So I, for me, that would knock it down like several pegs to the point where I'm sure there's so many other games that I could think of that would be more deserving to be on the list than
Yeah, for sure. I
Infinite
mean,
Wealth.
one for me is Indica that I look at and I'm like, man, Indica should have been nominated for best narrative. That's I mean, just an exceptional story. I think for me, this comes down to two. This comes down to Metaphor and Rebirth.
Mm.
I think are the two that the two nominees that I think are going to win. Did I go through and list out everything that just we got Rebirth, Infinite Wealth, Metaphor ReFantazio, Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2 are the nominees for best narrative. I got to remember to do that at the beginning of these categories. But I think it comes down to Rebirth or Metaphor, like without a doubt, one of those two games.
Yeah, we both didn't finish Metaphor. I think I made it further than you did, but
Yeah, put about
you
20
didn't
hours
finish
in,
it.
25 hours.
But you finished Rebirth, right?
Yeah, finish Rebirth.
So I guess without spoiling it for those, like, did you feel like it completely tied up the story that they were going for?
No, I
Like
mean,
them arcs and stuff. Like, obviously, there's going to be a third game, so I'm sure they've left the doors open. But what they were trying to tackle, did
yeah, I
they?
mean, I think it's just it's a game of moments. There's really great moments, and then there's moments that like there'll be a long stretch of time where you're playing Rebirth and you're just not really, or at least for me, not really invested in the story at all, and then it hits you with like, oh shit, a big gut punch moment. You're like, all right, let me strap back in. Let me really dig into this because they're going for something here. Um,
Mm,
but I gotta say, in the 25 hours that I put into Metaphor, or 25 hours that I put into Metaphor, I was more glued to that story consistently than I was for the 50 hours or whatever that I put into Rebirth. I kept playing Rebirth just because the combat's so fucking fun.
mm. No, that's fair. Because it is going places. Metaphor. I need to go back and finish it. I've not written off. It was Veilguard came out, and we kind of got swept up in that. Um, and then Death Stranding out of nowhere that sucked me in. Like, what the hell? On Xbox of all things?
That's
Sure, why
so
not?
funny.
Um, so Metaphor, the things that we're going for are really, really good. Like the themes that they were building up, but obviously we haven't played it and finished it to know if they actually tied that story together. Because it's so ambitious what the theme that they're trying to hit the nail on the head of and
Yeah.
execute, and that is so like I don't know if they stumbled and I don't know if they excelled, but of the nominees on the list, I would say probably Metaphor will
Yeah.
end up winning it. Um, because I get the feeling that Rebirth suffered the same things of Infinite Wealth, where you're putting roadblocks in the way. Metaphor doesn't. They've eased off of that compared to other like Atlas games, but they would also put roadblocks. Don't get me wrong, there's still roadblocks, but of them three, I think it was the story that you could just keep going through without hitting too many stops.
I think that Hellblade 2 has a decent chance of winning this. I know neither of us were really hot on it, but I don't think the story is bad. You know, I definitely don't
I
think it's bad at all. It just didn't quite connect with me like I was gonna say the first one, but I really didn't care about the first one all that much either.
my problem with it is nothing happened.
Yeah,
That's my biggest problem. You can't say an outstanding storytelling and narrative development if you went through the entire game and the character didn't, nothing happened with that. There's no arc at all.
yeah,
There, we saw no conclusion, we saw no resolution to anything. It's just nothing happened. And that's my biggest problem. If a game does that, I don't think it has, yeah, I don't think, for me, I wouldn't, that would be slap bang at fifth place in
yeah.
this.
I I think like it's a weird thing. I think Silent Hill 2 is the best story here from anything that I played, for sure.
Mm.
But like I I'm gonna go Metaphor as well. I'm gonna go Metaphor as best narrative. I would be really bummed if Silent Hill 2 won that. Even though it is the best story here, in my opinion. I don't think it deserves to win.
it it just feels the thing is like it's like you said, probably when you're putting up against all these other stories it probably is the strongest, but at the same time it's what makes you feel dirty of having a tree in the game of the year thing. Like it's something that's already come before it,
Yep.
so you're now, yeah, it just, yeah,
And
I,
I'll
I
even
don't
go out
think.
on a further limb to say I feel stronger about not wanting this in best narrative than I do about not wanting Erdtree in Game of the Year.
Mm.
Like legit, I do not like that at all. Silent Hill 2 being nominated for best narrative. But tis what it is. I'm not voting on this shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I would. I'd vote on this if they send me an email and ask me to vote. I'd definitely vote. I'd like to share the process though with the people who like that's the thing is you can't share the process, I don't think.
Mm.
Because I remember I think like Game Informer got in trouble for it back and there's somebody got in trouble for it. They did like they did like a behind the scenes podcast on what they
Yeah.
voted for and somebody and I think Keeley hit somebody up and was like, "Hey, don't do that." Hey, you know what? Let me backtrack because I could be incorrect on that, but I feel like there's something in the back of my mind from fucking 10 years ago where I remember something like that
No, but
happening.
in another breath, it does make sense though. If you're a big platform and you share, that could be viewed upon as you're influencing people's votes and
Yep.
stuff. It's kind of why people don't feel comfortable when they talk about what their political affiliation is and stuff like that.
Yep. I never do that either. Like
No.
Yeah, I do not touch on any of that shit, but I understand what you're saying, and also it's it's the thing too where yeah, hey dude, we're hosting a show where 100 million people are going to tune in to see who wins Game of the Year. We don't need you fucking selecting on your platform the winner and like potentially spoiling it if other outlets like if we go, okay, well,
Yeah,
this outlet picked Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, maybe that's indicative of what the other 85 outlets are going to pick. Like I can understand it to some degree, but I don't know. I don't know. I would like to be a little bit more transparent with the process,
I'd
but I
like
do understand.
I'd like to see them disclose who voted on what after. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
would
if that
too.
would like that is the biggest thing I'd love to see. Like of all the changes you could like once these are all out and the show's over, even if you just posted it on this website, be like these are the outlets and this is what they voted for.
Yeah, I actually like that a lot. I like the idea a lot of, hey, maybe, some of these outlets that have podcasts after the show is over, they can like release
Mm,
like they could do a live voting thing with their outlet and actually release it and then, they could monetize that and make money from it and let people see
yeah,
behind the scenes. Like, yeah, it could be mutually beneficial for everybody.
absolutely.
Best art direction for outstanding creative and/or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. The nominees are Astrobot, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree, Metaphor Refantasio, and Neva. Um, yeah, I mean, all of these are deserving, in my opinion. This is something where I'm totally fine with Elden Ring being here. Um, because I mean, if I'm not mistaken, it's new world environments and shit, right? Well, it's not the
Yeah,
same.
they added new. It's a new area, so it's separate from the other map. It's new enemies, new locations, new weapons, new yeah. There's
Yes,
a lot of
that's
new stuff.
That's all brand new art design. That's all
Yeah,
brand new environments. That's all brand new. Yeah, I do not mind Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree being here really at all. Um, because that's the newness of it. You could argue that some of the most new shit that you see that makes Erdtree separate from Elden Ring base game is the art direction. The new things you're gonna do, the new things you're gonna see in this world.
yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, Black Myth Wukong is a stunner artistically. Like environment design wise, like how you see the snow stacking and some of the shit they did with the tech in Black Myth
Mm.
Wukong is astonishing. Astrobot, I don't feel like I played through, finished Astrobot. I'm trying to like it has great art direction, but I don't really feel I think to me, I'm gonna be just really quick on this. I think it's a metaphor by a country mile.
Yeah,
Okay.
because not only it's drawing. I'm drawing a blank on the person's name. And you see the picture, the monster designs. It's from a specific artist, I believe, and I can't remember his name, and that's really annoying me. So it's drawn inspiration from that, and it's run away with it. It's so strong in art design, not only for the enemies, the menus, like it just exudes in every aspect of the game, just style and substance of that. So yeah, for me it would sweep that big time.
Yeah.
Um, Never's meant to be pretty strong though in its art direction as well, right?
Neva's a looker. Yeah, and even
Mm,
Neva, whatever. It's a looker, man. It's one of the best looking games that I've played all year for sure. And there's a level, I'll just say the red level. People who have played Neva, well, I, it's like right towards the end of the game, so you got to play a good bit to get there. But once you get there, I'd say just for that red level alone, keep playing. If you're kind of like, yeah, just it's not a long game. Play till you get to that red level. Artistically, it's a stunner, but you got to get pretty far in the game to see that. So, um, the people voting on it, I think that, yeah, I think you just instantly, as soon as you boot up Metaphor, it's like, oh my God, this is some of the best art design in games ever. And like you said, even from a menu design standpoint, it is an absolute showpiece. Um,
Hieronymus Bosch. That's his name. It was a Dutch painter, and that's why you have such strong style. I had to get that in, otherwise that would have really grated me all that time.
All right, so we're both locking in metaphor
Yep.
for best art direction. Now we get to best score in music. For outstanding music, inclusive of score, original song, and or licensed soundtrack. Okay. I don't know how I feel about the licensed soundtrack part, but we really don't
Mm,
have many instances of that being overly relied upon here. So the nominees are Astrobot, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor ReFantazio, Silent Hill 2, and the old Stellar Blade. I think that this is for me between either Silent Hill 2, Metaphor, and Astro.
I will be looking in metaphor.
Okay.
Any game that can make me sit there screaming the soundtrack into the mic in a party and annoy people with it, I think that combat music is so
Yeah.
epic. And you've made it to the point where like it's so well crafted that even after like 40 hours, I'm still humming to it, and it's the same soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I made some pretty damn good progress in that game. I got pretty friggin' far. I, I would like to go back to it and finish it, but if I'm being real, it's just the combat. If it wasn't for
It's
I
just turn-based. There's just
yeah,
this very difficult for people to
yeah.
get through.
Um and if it was just a little bit snappier, man, a little bit snappier, and like you said, they did add the ability to what was it that they added to make the combat quicker that you were telling me about?
You have like a fast forward button in Persona 3 Reload,
Oh,
but
okay.
I don't know if it's in. I haven't played Metaphor in several weeks because I think I said that to you and I didn't end up checking it to see if it
Okay.
was in there.
Okay.
But yeah,
I man, I think I'm gonna go with Silent Hill 2. They added in a lot. I mean, I know that they brought back the original composer for Silent Hill 2, but they mixed that music up, got funky with it in a lot of cases where it's like groovy in an uncomfortable manner. Like I don't know, they did some funky shit with that soundtrack. That I
that
was
makes me
able.
happy to because obviously I played with that was a video that we did where you did the remake and I played the HD collection for the first time, and that was one of my biggest like thumbs up. That music is incredible in Silent Hill 2.
Undoubtedly. All right. Now we go on to what do we go on to? Our screen's covered. You
Best
wanted
audio design.
all
Are
right.
you gonna jump over that? And
I mean, we can real quickly. We did score pretty quickly. We can do best audio design fairly quickly as well. Um, so best audio design, recognizing the best in-game audio and sound design. The nominees are Astrobot, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2. For me, this is either Hellblade 2 or Silent Hill 2.
yeah, for me, like what you need to excel at in this category is how much it utilizes it. If it's just like for Call of Duty and stuff, yeah, the guns sound good and all of that and the footsteps, but like I think this is the only thing that Hellblade would win from me, and that's because it utilizes it so well, like the voices and stuff. So because it's so integral to the gameplay and actually elevates it and is part of the experience as a whole, it would probably be that. But if I'd played Silent Hill 2, probably maybe I would have played towards that. But I'll give some love to Hellblade.
Yeah, I'm going Hellblade 2 as well. I think it has exceptional audio design. And I actually think it could have won Best Score in Music as well. Incredible soundtrack for Hellblade 2.
Best performance. There
Best
was one that made me
performance.
chuckle in there, I'll tell you what.
Oh no. All right. So best performance awarded to an individual for voiceover acting, motion, and or performance capture. And the nominees are Brianna White, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Hannah Telly for Life is Strange Double Exposure. Humberly Gonzalez, Star Wars Outlaws. Luke Roberts, Silent Hill 2. Melina Juergens for Hellblade 2. Those are the five. Which one made you chuckle, Loon?
I mean, I said this before. My biggest complaint with Outlaws was how flat the character felt. And I know you
Mm,
said that the character kind of warms up much later into the game and stuff like that. But I think I was like 12 hours in, and I still felt nothing for the main character. Like that's either extremely bad writing or extremely bad acting. It's one of the two.
it's the writing.
So I don't think that will be getting my vote. Um, the thing that's kind of annoyed me, they've not told me who they play.
Yeah, right,
Like what's up with that? You tell me the game, but you don't tell me who they play.
right.
Like I don't know who Brianna White is.
I'm pretty sure that she is Aerith,
Okay.
in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I think Hannah Telly is she's not Maxine, I don't think. I think she, I to be honest, I'm not 100% sure. That's a big fucking problem. That's a
Yeah,
big
I'm
problem.
assuming Luke is
Yeah,
James.
James, yeah. And obviously Humberly is Kay and
Yeah.
Melina Juergens is Senua.
How good was the performance for James?
For James and Life in Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
Um not, I mean,
Because I hated in the HD remake, you were able to jump from the original actor to Troy Baker. I think he
mm,
voiced in the updated thing. And I really didn't like the way that Troy Baker voiced it. I didn't think like I like the campiness because it just fits kind of thing. Like when the lines were delivered awkwardly and everything felt rough, it kind of added to the whole experience of just fucking with your mind as it was. When you had like Troy Baker in there doing his, high tier voice acting and stuff, it kind of felt like, okay, you're elevating the voice acting more so than everything else in the game, and it kind of doesn't feel right.
yeah. Um I so I want to look this up real quick just to make sure we know who these characters are.
Max,
Okay, so she is
Max Caulfield,
okay,
apparently.
so yeah, that's the main character of Life is Strange. And then the other one was Brianna White, right?
Yeah.
White FF7 Rebirth. And I'm pretty sure that that is yeah, that's Aerith. Okay.
Mm.
So Aerith is um okay, okay. Yeah. With James from Silent Hill 2, the remake, I think it is more in that camp of what you prefer, that campy weirdness, that uncomfortable camp, that
Mm.
uncomfortable sort of like disconnect from how you would respond if you were in that situation versus the way he's responding, and that makes it even more unsettling. I think he really nails that. But I don't
Okay.
I think when you look at uh I always say her name wrong. Melina Juergens?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Melina Juergens, I think I mean there's you can say what you will about Hellblade 2. Her performance is fucking incredible.
Mm.
I mean, from a motion capture standpoint alone, dude, it is stunning. And you could say, well, that's Unreal Engine 5 doing all the work. That's the meta fucking I get it. But like somebody had to be in that booth really making you feel that visceral gut punch sort of those big moments. She makes you feel those moments. Now you can say the writing's not great, sure, but her performance is excellent. Um, I think that Max didn't really have like some crazy arc in Life is Strange 2. And once again, that could come down to the writing. So for me, I think I'm going between Melina Juergens and Brianna White. Aerith has a wild arc in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Okay.
I would also like to see Barrett on here. His arc in Rebirth is exceptional, man. You really get to feel his backstory. But once again, maybe that's a little bit more writing than it is performance. But I mean, he brought me in with that performance and made me invest. I I'm gonna go Brianna White.
I will go with Melina Juergens
All right.
because, like you said, a lot of people could probably go down the angle of it's the engine that's elevating it and stuff and blah blah blah. Like she still has to go in there. And to give even more credit to her, when you're motion capturing acting, that's a lot more demanding than just going in a booth and reading your lines because you don't only have to deliver your lines, you also need to make it a, a reaction that doesn't feel stale and two-dimensional. Like you can say what you want about the game. You could, like you said, you could definitely feel her pain through her facial expressions and stuff. She captures that really well.
Absolutely. Completely agree. All right. Now we go on to let's skip over innovation and accessibility. I don't because I just don't have the knowledge of that category. Do you feel the same?
Yeah,
If you
it's just funny that Veilguard's that's the only one that's in there.
is that the
It got
only
no,
thing Veilguard
that's the
not
only thing it got nominated for. Which
what
credit to it, it had an extensive like how many options you could do in like the settings and stuff. But I probably wouldn't do justice in that category.
yeah, I just don't understand it enough. Games for impact. Let's take a quick look at this. I don't even know what the impact is for a thought-provoking game
Wasn't
with a
it
pros.
Indica and stuff? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message. What what does that mean? Like what is Indica's pro-social meaning or message? That
I
nuns
think
are
I think what it is it's meant to convey like the category is it gives you an uncomfortable story that makes you think. Can
well
be
then
my
like
only
what about best narrative? I think that let's be real. I think Indica is a better pick for best narrative than a lot of the games that were nominated best narrative. I think the same thing with Neva. This not so much same thing with Life is Strange.
I think
Um
this is more emotional though, rather
yeah,
than enjoyment stuff. Because you think of like Never and you think of I can't remember their previous game. What was it called? Gree and
agree.
stuff. It's meant to be like the thing that makes you feel more than you think. Then maybe.
Well, like then do most emotional game. Like I don't understand. I there's like some level of pretentiousness surrounding a
Yeah,
lot of this shit where it's like it's gotta
yeah.
be like no, just have a fun fucking award where it's like simple to the point. Like most emotional game, yeah, it's neither never by a mile for me, by a fucking mile. That game literally brought me to tears. None of these other games did. I to be fair, I haven't played close to the distance. But I played through and finished every other game on this list here.
Mm.
You know what? Just for that alone, I'm gonna go off your descriptor. If we're going most emotional, I'm going Neva. That shit fucking, and it's a game that's only a few hours long. Hopefully, the journalists were able to play through that, and I think that if you get to that end, you're gonna cry.
Yeah, I like I said, this it's so wrapped up in like what the meaning of that is.
Yes.
I'll just kick it to Indica
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Indica, man, Indica's probably my favorite story out of
because
anything on
from what
that
I
list.
saw, it made me feel uncomfortable. Some of the
Yes, it
stuff that was
does.
going on, it's just like okay, if that we're gonna go by like off emotion, like I didn't even play the game and it still made me feel uncomfortable. So
Yeah, there is no doubt. It's an uncomfortable video game. You want to do best ongoing or you want to skip it?
yeah, th I have something to say about this as well. This
Okay.
really annoyed me. This really did annoy me. But if you want to list off the things before I go off on a
Yeah.
tangent.
Best ongoing game awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. And the nominees are Destiny 2, Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, and Helldivers 2.
All of these games are multiplayer. And the thing that annoys me about that is that we have you're talking best ongoing support. Diablo 4 is it's had one expansion. Like and you're nodding it like that. Like this isn't something that's existed for years and years and years. Because the thing that immediately popped into my head, and I knew it wasn't going to get nominated. There was no way in hell it was going to get nominated. But something like Pathfinder: Wrath of the Righteous. You're talking about a single player RPG that has constant updates, constant support, and it's being shunned because it's not a multiplayer game, and that's all that really matters for this category. And that really does kind of disappoint me
Yeah,
that we're only seeing multiplayer games get like, do you understand how hard it is to keep a single player game ongoing more so than a multiplayer game?
yeah.
Like that's really, yeah, that really did irritate me.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I can totally understand that.
Yeah, it's had like 8 DLCs, 6, 8 DLCs.
Yeah. I
So
I think I got to go Final Fantasy 14 on this. I don't know
yeah,
much about Final Fantasy 14 for full transparency's sake, but like I mean that game is just constantly. That's the thing you talked about Diablo 4 getting its first expansion this year. It seems like Final Fantasy 14 is constantly getting new content, and this is another year of new content. And it seems that what was it, Dawn Trail this year that people seem to be
yeah.
really hot on.
Yeah, and it's even more impressive because it's not only that it's getting another expansion, these expansions don't miss, really.
Yeah,
They're really cinematically driven and stuff. And for an MMO to be able to give you like, you have to have a grindy element because you need to keep people locked in kind of thing. So you have that kind of status quo of a normal MMO crap, but they also give you really well-crafted stories
yeah, they do.
and well laid out, and to the point where it's one of the few MMOs that you could actually get away with. Like you could play it yourself.
Yeah,
You enjoyed Final Fantasy, you could go and play that. You'd have to deal with a load of crap,
yeah,
take
hundreds of
50
hours.
flowers, but you would eventually hit a thing of where it rewards you for that time with a really, really good, well-crafted story. And it's been around for so long. Like its original release was what, 2014 or something?
Yep.
And it's still kicking along. Like, don't get me wrong, it crashed and burned. No, I take that back. 2010, apparently,
Oh, and then they yeah, because they had to go in and
because
pretty
they did
much
the Realm
rebuild it.
reboot where they nuked the world because it
Yeah,
was so.
yeah,
That's what I mean. 10. So 2010, 14 years. This game has been around since its first inception, and it's still going strong. Like it's not died down. Like the only thing close to this list that even rivals that is Fortnite, with its
yeah.
just constant. Like Helldivers 2 is still new. It came out this year. Don't get me wrong, the support it's garnered is admirable. Like it had really good community back and forth. Um, and I don't have any respect for Destiny 2. That's all. I don't think that should be anywhere near the list, personally.
Are you going 14?
I will go 14 as well.
Nice. All right. So we're locked in on that one. I think that's one of the few that we have similar, but I don't have any knowledge of it. What did Fortnite add that was new this year? Do you know?
I mean, they keep up with pop culture, don't they? It's just
Yeah.
that kind of shit where they added Snoop Dogg and crap.
Shout out.
It's just an existing world. The thing that I wanted to just touch on as well with Destiny 2, I'm throwing it shade. It it sells you DLCs to rip them away from you later. Like that's inexcusable. Like they've
Hmm.
sold you content to then take it and lock it away, and it's just yeah. That's why I don't think it has any right to be anywhere near that list.
Best community support. So I guess this kind of ties right to the last one, recognizing a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of social media activity and game updates slash patches. The nominees are Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Helldivers 2, and No Man's Sky. This is the only thing Baldur's Gate is nominated for, right?
I think so.
Well,
I believe so.
I got my pick. Baldur's Gate 3.
That's a fair pick. I'm a little bit hesitant, surprisingly, to pick that. Um, and I say that because they added bits, but they also, and I respect them for doing this, but they walked away from the project as well. We had expansions, and they could have added so much more to the game, but chose not to. So I'll actually give my nod to Helldivers 2 because I've never, for me, I've never seen a game that releases content in the way it does in that game, where the community has power on what happens next. Like that's to me, that's crazy. That's so innovative compared to everything else. Don't get me wrong, Baldur's Gate 3 is incredible. You going through and overhauling all these like endings and making them more compelling and stuff, and adding full mod support and stuff. But for me, that's kind of been there, done that. That's you're fixing your game in post as well as a single player game, which I'm sorry, you do need to get a little bit of a stray for that. You had a very long development process.
Yeah,
So
that's a damn good point. You almost make me want to sway. The only thing is I think when people see Baldur's Gate 3 on a ballad, they're just gonna drool. And the drool
mm,
is gonna check off. It'll just be a drool spot where Baldur's Gate 3 is. It's not even they're not even gonna check the box, it's just gonna be a pile of drool. And it's
yeah.
people love that damn Baldur's Gate 3, man.
Shout out to No Man's Sky though.
Yeah.
Like that deserves at least recognition. Like talk about a botched launch and then not only like I don't support fixing in post, but not only did they fix in post, every expansion and big update, they've not charged you any money for it. It came out in what, 2016, something crazy, and they've what you if you purchased the game back then, you've had access to everything that's come since. Like that's madness.
Yeah. Moving on to Best Independent Game for outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside the traditional publisher system. The nominees are Animal Well, Balatro, Lorelei and the Laser Eye, Neva, and UFO 50. Um, so I fucking everything I see about UFO 50, I'm dying to play that thing, dying to play that thing, but it's not on console. It's only on PC right now. So I think that limits its reach immediately here. Um, I think that for me, just to be quick, I think this is Balatro by a mile.
Mm,
Nominated for Game of the Year, the only one in the indie category that was nominated for Game of the Year, you know?
yeah, like yeah. I and when you argue it in that way, it's hard to. For me, it would probably have been Animal Realm. Um,
I mean, here's one thing I
for
will say to your
outstanding creativeness. Like,
yeah, and I will say to your point, like you could have the thing where we're nominating Balatro for Game of the Year, but we're gonna pick something else for Indie Game of the Year.
yeah,
That's happened before.
yeah, I'll lock in Animal Realm.
Okay.
I think either of them are good shouts. I think Balatro has just as much reason to win that as Animal World, but I think Animal World did a few things. It had such, you had a lot of numbers drift towards Balatro and people enjoying it, but the community that Animal World garnered, where they went and like cracked the game open completely, had discords dedicated to figuring stuff out and stuff like that's, I think that definitely deserves to win something at least.
Totally. And maybe that's the argument here. Where does it win Best Debut Indie Game? You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
it's tough because like I could see people go into their voting box and being like, all right, we're gonna nominate Balatro for best indie, best debut indie, we're gonna nominate Animal Well, or we're gonna select Animal Well, or vice versa. Like I could see not wanting to double up because it's like, well, we should throw flowers to both and
mm.
picking different ones in the two different categories here.
It
I don't
feels
know.
weird though, doesn't it?
It does, because that's what I
It
was
does
just
feel
about to
weird
say.
because it's like if it's in that final six for Game of the Year, and that's what you voted on, in any category that it's placed in that doesn't have them other competitors, surely it should sweep that.
And
You're
with that
saying it's the
said,
greatest game.
best debut indie game. I'm predicting that Balatro wins. Just to yeah, I agree 100%. It would be so silly for it not to, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll concede that.
And I don't think it would be silly in the sense of like I'm not saying that it's better than all these games or anything. I'm just saying from that logic, like you said, it just makes sense. If it's nominated for Game of the Year, it should win all the other categories where it's running up against
Mm.
games that are not nominated for Game of the Year, just logically speaking. But then you kind of get to the empathetic, sympathetic mindset where it's like, well, let's not nominate it for everything. So we'll see. But yeah, I kind of tend to agree.
It also did crazy good numbers as well. Being
Bad
released
shit.
everywhere, like that also helped it. Being able to be just immediately ported to mobile from the get-go.
Totally. Skip over best mobile game. Um,
Because it would have been Bellatra.
right, yeah, yeah. Best VR/AR game. I mean, we can look at this real quick. Neither of us are VR. We don't
Oh, what
really
are you talking about? You're the Meta Quest free expert.
the meta returner. Best VR/AR for the best game experience playable in virtual or augmented reality, irrespective of platform. Arizona Sunshine Remake, Asgard's Wrath 2, Batman Arkham Shadow, Metal Hellsinger VR, and Metro Awakening. I will say this. Great year for VR. Great year for VR releases, man. I mean, Batman Arkham Shadow, like a legitimate Arkham game in VR where you have all the move set and all the tools of your tool belt. Asgard's Wrath 2, I think that came out in December last year. I mean, that's, if I'm not mistaken, I think Asgard's Wrath is like the highest rated VR game of all time. Like
Mm,
right there with Half-Life Alyx. So, uh, but I feel like I think this is the tough thing where recency bias is going to skew towards
yeah.
Arkham Shadow. I'm going to go Arkham Shadow.
Yeah, I'll go Arkham Shadow as well. I heard nothing of Metro Awakening. Kind of upsetting.
Yeah, it
Of
just
all
came
like
out.
of all the things that you think like that would play so well in VR if you could crack it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they did. I heard nothing about it.
Yeah. I when I bought my VR headset, I bought it because I wanted to play Arkham Shadow and then I wanted to play Metro and yeah, we'll save that for the end of the month to talk about why that's not going to happen. Okay. And I mean I'll just tell you now, fuck it. It's not like there's some big thing. It was just I when I was playing that shit, I was like, there's no way I'm gonna play a 10-hour game in VR. I think the VR experience for me is just totally dead. And it's not like I appreciated Batman Arkham Shadow. Like I was in there like, damn, this is really, really cool the first 20 minutes. And then from that point on, you're just like, this the level you're removing all of the comfort elements of gaming, you know?
Mm.
It's like it becomes you whenever I sit down to play a game, like I'm done. Like I want to totally decompress. VR is like an activity. And it's like that. So I can appreciate people who are looking for that, like who are looking for a good workout or whatever the case may be, or not a good workout, but like a little workout, whatever the case may be. But I work out an hour a day every day. Like I don't want to fucking have another workout. You know what I mean? Once I'm done working out, I've already showered. I don't want to have to fucking hop back in the shower after playing a 3 hour session of Batman Arkham Shadow.
Well, I don't think a lot of people, it's not going to replace what their main form of gaming is. It's either a workout thing, like you said, or it's just to dip in for an experience.
Yeah,
Kind of thing like the Gran Turismo thing. Like that's not going to be how you want to play all your racing games for the end of time moving forward, because that would just be training. But
yeah,
it's cool to have an experience, and that's what I mean. It's always just yeah, it's just always a gimmick VR, and that's why I don't want them pacing it so hard. Like it's impressive what you can accomplish with it, but like you said, 90% of people probably get home and like, I just want to sit down and relax.
yeah.
I don't want to actually participate that much more energy into gaming than just holding a controller in your hand.
Right. And it's like, imagine if Meta would have funded a fully fleshed out Batman Arkham game, that's not VR, like a console. Imagine if Meta was putting that money into a new Batman
Mm.
Arkham experience that was on the console. Like, it's just, yeah, it's a bummer that this is, and I understand from a business standpoint, it's the new hotness. It's something that people want to be in on the ground floor, but it's like, I don't know. We've been on the ground floor for a long time. I think that
Yep.
elevator should be moving up. Best action game for the best game in the action genre, focused primarily on combat. The nominees are Black Myth Wukong, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Stellar Blade, and Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2. Loon, what you thinking? Best action game, my friend?
Yeah, for me, it's a toss-up between Wukong and Helldivers. Um, because I've not played Helldivers, Wukong, or Stellar Blade, but from what I've seen, the Stellar Blade is good. I'd love to play it. It seems to lack the kind of polish that Wukong garners and Helldivers. Like there just seems to be that little bit extra polish added to them two games. Man, I love Space Marine 2, but when you're comparing it to everything else in this list, it's a me game. Like it's very simple in comparison to like Wukong and stuff.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, man. There's mechanics in Space Marine 2 that shit on almost everything on this list. Like
Mm.
that parry mechanic is like so action coded to its core. Like it is, I mean, I've told you 100 times about this. It is one of my favorite mechanics in a long time. Just so satisfying. That perfect parry. The enemy jumps in the air. You literally feel like Randy Orton about to catch a motherfucker for an RKO. Like it is so satisfying. And I love Stellar Blade 2. I fucking loved that game. I think it's incredibly underrated in a sense of like people, talk about it as hot chick with a sword. And it's like, dude, I never changed her outfit. Like I don't give a shit about like cool, she's bad as hell. She's hot. Yeah, dope. But like I wasn't in there gazing at her body. I was playing
Yeah,
the game because the game was actually really good. It's a fun action game. So I mean, I'd like to see that in there. Call of Duty Black
it's
Ops 6, man. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's just disappointing because it's the same reception level that Nier Automata got back when it came out. It's you're fixating on that so heavily and you're sleeping on the what is actually really fucking good about the game. And that's why that got swept under the rug back then. Because you when you're screaming to the rooftops that the sexiness of the character is the main draw as the why, no one takes you seriously. And they shouldn't.
No.
If that's your main thing that you're pushing, like tell me how the game it's a game. How is the gameplay? Like
Yep.
that's what you should be leading with. These are additional things that yeah, cool, that is a good looking character. But you
Yeah.
shouldn't be leading with that. But yeah, you are much hotter on Black Ops 6, so by all means,
Oh
the
yeah.
floor is
I
yours.
I think that that's one of the most fun first person shooter campaigns I've ever experienced. It's unbelievable. But I think all of the best parts are the stealth and the plotting and the slower moments actually. I think the shooting's great. Going prone, shooting off your back. Like the shooting is great. It's exceptional. But like the best moments to me in that game are the deliberately paced kind of let's cool off. Let's take in this atmosphere. This like let's really simmer with this for a second. Um, so I don't know. I don't even look at it necessarily. I know it's an action game, but like for some reason the moments I think of in that game really aren't the action
Mm,
that stood out to me. Whereas Space Marine 2, it's
pure.
specifically the action.
Yep.
Yes.
It's
I
just
mean,
pure adrenaline from start to there is no the slowest parts in that game are when you're walking to get to the new battlefield. That is it. Like you're walking through just people getting obliterated to then go and obliterate stuff yourself. There's hardly any downtime.
yeah, it is not, yeah, like you said, pure, not stepped on at all. That is grade A action. And I feel the same about Stellar Blade. But I think that you do run into another weird situation where Black Myth Wukong is nominated for Game of the Year. None of these other ones are. But you can say a game can be a better action game, but not a better overall game. Yeah, that makes some sense. But I still got to go Wukong, best action game.
Yeah, I'll go Wukong. Because what I should also say as well, as much as I want to play Rebirth, of all the games that did step over Xbox this year, that's probably the one I'm, as a whole package, most envious about.
Yep. I'll be there December 11th or 12th, December 12th, I think, picking up that physical
That's the
copy.
Game of Year, the Game Awards
Is it the date for the Game
date as
Awards?
well, right?
Oh, damn. Oh well. Um, what do we have? Best action adventure. Yeah, I think that's a bummer with Wukong, man. It's coming out right after Indiana Jones. I'm so hyped for Indiana Jones. Coming out the same day as the Game Awards. We're going to be doing a lot of long form content. I don't think I'm going to be able to dive like too far into Black Myth Wukong before we do our end of the year stuff, but I
Oh, have you
would
not
like
played
to.
it at all?
Wukong?
You done the Alan Wake thing?
Oh yeah, I'm not buying $70 digital game.
Oh,
No, or 60, whatever. Hell no.
kudos.
Absolutely, brother. I stand strong on that shit. Um, Best action. You know what? I'm lying. I will not lying about Black Myth Wukong. I'm not gonna lie straight to your face. I'm li
Immediately back. I ain't buying no $70 tosh,
but I
but I
will.
did.
I did buy a couple of full price digital games this year because of the early access shit. That
Oh yeah,
yeah, I ended up
I did
buying.
that for Space Marine.
Yeah, I did it for NCAA Football 25 and I also did it for Dragon Ball Z. And to be real, the only reason I did it for Dragon Ball Z was because there was just so many games coming out in October and I was like, if I can get a couple day window to play this before I get hit with a fucking just gluttony of nonstop one day after the
Mm.
next new releases. I was like, let me just get a couple days to get some impressions on this, get some thoughts on this. That way I can cover it on the channel, dive into it a little bit and see if it really hooks me. So I did do that for NCAA 25 and Dragon Ball Z just to be 100% transparent, but I didn't do it for Black Myth Wukong. So take that as you will.
Well,
A hypocrite I am indeed. But I guess it's the thing the other games had, they at least had physical
they had
releases.
physicals, right?
Yeah.
It's just so yeah.
And then,
I don't know. So it's a weird time to be in gaming
it
because I
is.
don't know. How did you feel about Dead Rising? I don't know if you care about Dead Rising, but them being like it kind of threw a lot of people off because it was like we've released the digital and then we'll be releasing the physical the month later. And when it's in that short of a distance, it's like why wouldn't it just make sense to even just push the entire release back a month and then just bundle it to get like it just very strange.
So with Dead Rising, it was a weird thing where I ended up not buying it.
Mm,
Because I didn't buy it physically because when it came out digitally, that would have been the time where I wanted to buy it. But it came out physically in October
mm.
when I was packed with 100 different games. But I do want to jump into it because I've never played Dead Rising actually.
Oh, what? None of them.
None of them.
Oh, wow. Boy, we have to have a discussion about that sometime because I that's probably like my Silent Hill in
Oh, it's one of your
comparison to like
favorite
you guys.
series?
Yeah, but I have such mixed feelings about each entry.
Oh,
Like it's
okay.
so crazy.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to dive into it. I'm definitely going to pick up that physical copy. I hope it can
Mm.
get like a little bit of a cut for Black Friday. And I'll jump in. They're already doing some pretty good Black Friday deals at Best Buy. So hopefully Dead Rising lines up. Best action adventure. For the best action slash adventure game combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving. And the nominees are Astrobot, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Silent Hill 2, Star Wars Outlaws, and Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. What you thinking, Lone?
I think I said this to you, so I'll say it again so that everybody can hear it. I really hate term action adventure with a passion. I think it's so unbelievably vague because when you're looking over this list, it's you got platformers in there, you got survival horror, you've got
Right.
an action RPG, and I don't know what that Zelda game is. It's something. So like that's such a wide, and that's what I mean. That is that not just unbelievably vague when you
Yeah.
look at that, like how diluted that is. Like for me, Silent Hill shouldn't be in there. Give me a horror category, man. Like, come on, there's enough of them that come out on a yearly basis, even if it feels stacked against it and you're putting Silent Hill against like four indie games, like there's plenty of horror stuff out there. And because there's not best platformer as well, is there? There's a category.
No. Yeah.
Why?
Right.
And like, and it would also help as well because then you're not fighting over this. This
Yeah.
category can still stay and keep it more in line because I still don't believe Silent Hill is an action adventure game. I'm sorry. Keep it in line with stuff like a Star Wars Outlaws kind of thing where it's Uncharted-esque. kind of thing, and then give these other games breathing room. And it might even shed more light on platformers that release in the year that don't get any love and help grow that genre.
Yeah, I could not agree more. The only thing I would disagree with is the fact that if we add more categories, we're gonna have to have a new fucking pre-show because they already sweep so many damn categories under the rug, just like quick rapid fire announcements, pay no respect to them whatsoever. So it's like adding more categories, more disrespect to these damn developers and publishers, which is such a bummer.
I think they just need what they need to do is turn it into a 2 day show. It's
Yeah,
getting to that point where it's big enough. Have the smaller stuff on, like, say, a Saturday and have the finales on the Friday. Like
yeah.
you bring in so many damn numbers as it is. Even if you only hit like a quarter of your player base on the lower first days, and
Hmm.
then a lot of people tune in, like that's still gonna get you money,
Yeah,
surely.
that is true. I mean, you definitely be getting millions of views on both.
Yeah.
You might go from 100 million to 10 million, but who the fuck cares? It's still a shit ton.
Hmm.
Um, all right, best action adventure game. I mean, for the category, I know, internet, I know you're not going to like this, but Star Wars Outlaws is the best action adventure game here. You know, like for the term, combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving. Like, I don't know. To me, I just think that it does the best. I don't know. Maybe Prince of Persia. Yeah, I actually, okay. I don't know. I just think, like you said, when I think of action adventure, I think of a game like Star Wars Outlaws.
Mm.
I don't so much think of a platformer or a side scroller or a horror game. But I guess when you look at the description, they all do kind of fit the bill. They all do
Yeah,
combine
if you're
action.
writing it as that definition, it's kind of the thing where like you're picking very specific words. And the same with what we had struggling with the games for impact. Like you're I just wish it was clearer
Yeah, I
and
agree.
more concise. Um ah, I'm gonna say Astrobot personally
Yeah.
because it not only of all of them for me, having looked at it all, because I'm not as hot on Outlaws as you. I bounced off that pretty quick. It For me personally, I felt like it was a pretty weak entry for a Ubisoft game. Hot take potentially, but for me, Astro, it looks incredible. And if you're talking about combat, like you're talking about all that, and then the puzzle solving outperforming the games it's pulling from, like that's incredible.
Yeah,
You're
I
telling me
think
that like Kratos sections are better than God of War? Because don't get me wrong, they're not god awful and puzzles. They're not the best in the business, but they're still pretty strong and fun. So if it's outperforming that, I think that would be where I'd cast my vote.
I think the thing that sways me towards Astrobot is that term traversal.
Mm.
Because like movement in Astrobot shits on everything else here. Like just embodying that character and moving around that world feels so good. Puzzle solving is solid. It's great in certain instances. Um, I think it's probably between Prince of Persia and Astrobot, but I'm gonna stay with you. I'm gonna go Astrobot as well. We've actually had quite a few similar predictions here, and I think what like 4 or 5 in a row here. So we'll see if we're collectively wrong or if we're collectively correct. But I'm going with Astrobot as well, man. Best RPG. So the nominees for Best RPG, I guess I should read the description for the best game designed with rich player character customization and progression, including massively multiplayer experiences. The nominees are Dragon's Dogma 2, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and Metaphor Rifantasio.
Hmm. Man, I don't know. Do you have any that stand out that you could just be like, yep?
I have a thought that once again, not probably not a popular take, but like it's kind of a bummer that Dragon Age isn't nominated here. You know, like I don't know, man. Fucking rich character customization. Like I don't know. Do you get better character customization than what you see in Dragon Age 4, the Veilguard? You know what I mean? Like I think that the Dragon Age it definitely struggles in some of its role-playing aspects for sure, especially like it makes you be one specific rook, which is a bummer. Not having a lot of flexibility with the like, oh, I can't be a complete dick or I can't be, only having those limited dialogue options, like sure. But even then, having the options in general for the dialogue separates it from every other game on this list, except Metaphor to some degree.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're talking this is what has always annoyed me when people say about choice, and that's what it means to be an RPG and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that is technically an aspect, but like you don't choose anything in Infinite Wealth. You just do stuff. It's Ichiban's story. Does that mean that you can't class like that? That means you can't classify it as a JRPG then,
Well, it's
because
like,
he's not choosing anything. Like that's ridiculous. Like you can have an RPG where the story is molded out for you, because in Dragon Age 2, that was primarily the case. There was a little bit more flexibility in your choice, but you were still playing as Hawk. You still play as Geralt in The Witcher. You can kind of shift and choose different endings and stuff, but there's still like somebody's story, and the majority of that story is written out for you. It's not like a sandbox experience like a Bethesda RPG where you're just a blank slate.
and I don't think there's
So,
anything necessarily that limits a game like Infinite Wealth from being categorized as an RPG at all.
hmm,
I just
no,
think that it's an element of role playing is choice and consequence and dialogue options and like living through that character in that regard. And it's like that's a pretty big element of a role playing game, I would say. And for it to be, Dragon Age to have all that not be here, it's like, yeah, that's kind of a bummer. But at the end of the day, I, Dragon Age it's a tough entry point for people to get into in general. You know what I mean? Like it's a follow up of a game from 10 years ago.
hmm.
Like, what the fuck? You expect people
But
to have all that built-in knowledge?
to be fair, Dragon's Dogma 2 made this cut. That is the same thing. That's a game from 10 plus years ago.
Loon. Don't tell me you think people gave a shit about that story.
No, no, it's not got anything to do with the rich thing. But you gotta the thing that I think they're trying to convey with character customization, they should have also put build as well. You have a lot
Totally.
of build customization in Dragon's Dogma 2 that you don't get in some of these other games.
Yeah.
You don't get the same build customization in Metaphor.
No. Or
Like it's
Rebirth.
just skill unlocks and stuff like that. But like the impact on that for Dragon's Dogma 2 blows a lot of this out of the water. So like I'm glad to see that at least get nominated because it shows they somewhat understand the flexibility of the word RPG as well, and they're not just focusing on it has to be a game with a character wheel and being able to select dialogue choices and stuff.
I will
But
say the the only thing though, like Dragon's Dogma 2, you're gonna pick that game up and you're not gonna feel like you're missing out on any sort of story context. Where with Dragon, Jesus Christ, too many dragon. With Dragon Age, the Veilguard, if you pick that shit up and start playing it, you're gonna be like, yo, who is Solus? Like if you haven't played Inquisition, you're gonna be like, who is Solus? What is going on? Like it doesn't necessarily do a great job at getting you up to speed on everything. There is a little bit of a disconnect between that 10-year gap, more so than Dragon's Dogma 1 to 2. But I do
it
agree,
also with Dragon's Dogma 2, it also had the benefit of I don't know why they did. It's just a retelling of the first
it's the
game.
same story, yeah.
What on earth? Like I it boggles the mind because the reason it failed is because the core game was bad in that sense. And the reason that it garnered success and love is because the expansion drew that in, because it was something that was actually enjoyable to play. And so the creator originally wrote that first game, had nothing to do with the expansion, and he came back and did Dragon's Dogma 2's thing. And that's why it's the same crap. And it's just like, what are you? how do you make this same mistake twice?
Yeah.
What, you didn't look back and see what were the stronger aspects? It just, yeah, it's crazy. It just
Yeah.
feels like a completely wasted opportunity to push
It's
that and make it a series that's worth talking about.
so this is a weird one because like I think that it comes down to Rebirth or Metaphor. I think it's going to be one of those two that win. I think Rebirth's going to win Game of the Year, but I think Metaphor is going to win Best RPG. It's one of those weird things where I think you could make an argument that Metaphor is a better RPG than Rebirth, but Rebirth is a better game. And
If
I'm not
this
even
was,
saying I agree,
I'll just, I'll just rip the Band-Aid off. I think it's going to be Metaphor that wins this. If it was my personal vote, I'd actually go with Infinite Wealth, personally. I think it embodies what makes it does what you're hoping from an RPG, like a job system and stuff, and makes it enjoyable to level through. Whereas Metaphor, I think it gets tangled up in its own art direction at times and kind of style. It kind of makes it hard to enjoy it as much as I could with Infinite Wealth,
yeah,
from the standpoint of an RPG at least.
I hear you. This is an interesting category. Best fighting game. I So for the best game design primarily around head-to-head combat, Dragon Ball, Sparking Zero, Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics, Multiversus, and Tekken 8. Um, so I played more of Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection than any other game on this list. That's wild to have it on here, in my opinion. Like it is, it's those same games from decades ago. It's cool that they got ported to modern platforms. It's cool that they're in this collection. Um, but like
Was Street Fighter this year or last year?
last year.
Okay, that makes sense then. Because I was about to say, I have, if you can't tell, fighting games are not my forte.
Yeah, I mean they're
Um,
not so much mine. I've been getting into them a lot lately though.
mm,
Um, I mean this is clear to me. It's either Dragon Ball or Tekken 8
yeah, I'm surprised Multiverses is on here. That has to just be like a filler pick.
for sure.
I don't know what else released this year fighting wise. I don't
Well,
think there was.
there's a fucking cool looking game coming out next month. I'm already forgetting the name of it. Something Legacy, Diesel Legacy. Looks really cool.
Hmm,
It's a fighting game. That's the one thing I kind of wish the Game Awards would be in January or something, but I get it from a marketing standpoint. People want to talk about the end of the year stuff at the end of the year.
no.
Um, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go Tekken 8 on this. I think Dragon Ball Sparking Zero would be a solid pick as well. But I think Tekken 8, in terms of like the competitive scene is so much stronger in Tekken 8 than Sparking Zero because there's a lot of cheese and a lot of but that's the fun of Sparking Zero is like you can just pick a dominant character, do some crazy spam attacks, fuck people up, and then other characters are gonna have no chance against certain overpowered characters. And there's some fun in that cheese, but the competitive scene of Tekken 8 is just so much stronger.
So I played none of these games. I would like that to be known. So
Ah,
I ha like all of this is just gonna be you chose Tekken 8, I'll just go Dragon Ball.
yeah, okay.
Because I've heard nothing about them free in the middle. I've only heard about the Capcom fighting game thing through you. Everything that actually breaks through outside, when I hear people mention like, oh, this should get nominated, it is either Tekken 8 or Dragon Ball. So I'll go Dragon Ball.
To be fair, man, Marvel vs. Capcom, I forgot that they had the online integration where you can now play competitively for those games. So, I mean, that's a huge feature. So yeah, it does belong in there. That's a big change. It's not just a straight up port of those games. So, yeah, but it's not on Tekken's level for sure or Dragon Ball's level.
Yep.
Best family game will skip. Do you want to do best sim slash strategy?
I think
I
many really all that came out, but I'll quickly run
Yeah,
through
we'll
them.
just look at it real quick, even if we don't
I think
necessarily vote.
Frostpunk was one, and then Age of Mythology.
Oh, Kunitsugami. Wow. Yeah. Unicorn
Oh,
Overlord. You got some thoughts on this?
Matt, if it's a heart pick, I'd go Kunitsugami in a heartbeat. Like no one talked about that game
I
at
know.
all. And it's, don't get me wrong, it's not like gonna be getting game of the year in that top six, but it was something really unique and crazy, kind of like mixing of multiple genres all together. But it's probably a toss up as to what would actually win. Would probably be Frostpunk 2 or Unicorn
I'm gonna go.
Overlord.
I'm gonna go unicorn. Atlas
Uh,
representation. Take unicorn for my pick for best sim slash strategy.
I I think I'll lock in Frostpunk. I think the strategy aspects of Unicorn are very surface level, a lot of it in comparison to a lot of other strategy games. So fun then, really fun game.
All right, we're down to the wire here. Best sports slash racing. Um, all right. For the best traditional and non-traditional sports and racing games, we have F1 24, EA Sports FC 25, NBA 2K 25, Top Spin 2K 25, and WWE 2K 24. So the best game I've played Top Spin 2K 25. I've played NBA 2K 25. I didn't play EA Sports FC 25. Did you play EA Sports FC 25?
I played like 45 minutes of it and remembered that I'm not 8 years old anymore, so I can't keep up with these people that play like 800 hours a week. So
Did you play F1 24?
I actually didn't, and that's crazy to think about. I heard nothing but bad shit about it.
Okay.
Like apparently it's just had a really bad launch, and they've just issues that persisted from last year have come back, and they're even worse. It's kind of like, do you know when WWE took that massive dip,
Yep.
and they finally had that cracking point of like, this is unacceptable. That's where the F1 community is. So to have that on the list as a joke, to be 100% like that should have been one of the what did you say, NCAA game? Like that
Yeah,
came out and was really well received.
I mean, NCAA Football 25 is the best-selling game of the year.
Hmm.
It's not perfect, but NBA 2K25 is it's a rough year for NBA 2K25. I'm fine with it because of the My Eras mode, but even the My Eras mode has some flaws to it. Like NBA 2K25 probably shouldn't be on there. Like you said, F1 24. I mean, the best game here that I've played is WWE 2K24 by a mile. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a wrestling guy. I would not have said that for 2K22 for sure. 2K23 was really good, but 2K24 they're just continually making the right improvements to the game. I think it's the best game on here. But I think that the majority of the people who are voting for this have no knowledge on sports games. And that's why you don't see a college football 25 on here. You just see
Yeah,
that this is more a thing of like, oh, sports ball. Let's just do what we do every single fucking year. Oh, a tennis game came out this year from 2K. Cool. Oh, what about the EA games? All right, here's the we'll do the soccer one just to mix it up a little bit. Like, I don't think enough thought is really given to this genre, and that's a bummer. But I'm gonna like a part of me just wants to pick EA Sports FC 25 because it's like the
it's
most popular.
it's gonna win. It's gonna hands that it's the most popular sport in the world. So if you're gonna be talking about outlets that just because they don't really care about sports games, it's just gonna be like, okay, of them that yeah, we'll just pick that. It's the safest option. But for me, like I didn't like I said, I played like the opening like trial hour of it, and I just don't like the way they've gone down that really simulation driven route. Much prefer like more arcadey feel of like FIFA 10 and stuff like that.
Hey,
Uh,
not to cut you off. When's the last time you played a WWE game?
well, like seriously, and not just like dipping in,
Yeah.
like test the waters. 2008, maybe 2010, maybe.
If I
Like
paid
it's,
you, if I bought WWE 2K25, would you play it?
I mean, yeah,
We could review it together or something. I think that'd
Yeah,
be some fun content, kind of like because we did the Dragon Age review from a casual fan perspective and from a hardcore fan perspective. Like, I think that that'd be kind of dope to do that for WWE as well. First time you're back in over a decade,
yeah.
and to see that difference of opinion for somebody who has been playing them nonstop versus somebody who's returning for the first time in years.
You could probably tell me which game it was. I remember that you had a room that you could customize.
Oh yeah, that was SmackDown versus Raw 2007.
Oh my God, it's even longer than I thought. Jesus. And that was awesome. You could like design belts in that game. Like,
Yep,
it was dope shit. It was like it was like when you talk about like a draft mode thing, where he was able
yep.
to like pull wrestlers into different things. Like, it was a great game.
Yeah, that was from
Great game.
2006 to 2008. They had the GM mode where you could draft the wrestlers and shit. That was really fun. You know
It
what,
was
dude?
goated.
I'm gonna go with my heart on this one. I'm gonna go 2K24 for best sports game. I don't think it's gonna win, but it's like, I don't know.
It's
For
the
one of
most
these picks,
deserving.
yeah. I mean, you're
Like,
talking about a fully fleshed out career mode with voice acting and a real storyline. You have your showcase mode, which, a little bit underwhelming. Your universe mode, your my like there's so many modes in that thing. And the core gameplay is good. So many new you brought back ambulance match, the blood leaking from the head to the body, throwable weapons. Like there's so many new improved features. And you look at the rest of these games, it's like, where are the new improved features? Okay, Topspin came back for the first time in a decade. Cool. NBA 2K25 rolled out the exact same game. F1 24 rolled out a worse game. EA Sports FC rolled out the same game. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm right there with. If it was my heart pick and I played none of these games, I would give the nod to 2K24 as well because it's the only game on this list that feels like it gets an annual release and it's actually built off of in a meaningful way. And it feels like it's also not only built off of it, it feels like these past games and stuff, it's an upward trajectory.
Yeah,
They're actually listening. That's the big difference. These other games, they're not listening. They're just putting in the bare minimum and reskinning.
I did. 1000% agree, man.
Mm.
1000% agree. All right. Best multiplayer. We have for outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experiences, irrespective of game genre or platform. And the nominees are Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Tekken 8, Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2. So, Loon, best multiplayer game. What you thinking?
Oh, yeah, I can't. This is the thing. Like, I can't talk on Tekken's behalf. I don't know how strong it is.
Right.
Um, I would scratch Space Marine 2 off the list, unfortunately. It's so bare bones. Don't get me wrong, it's fun to play. We probably put like 10, 15 hours into that multiplayer. Me and the group of friends that we were playing with. It it's lacking in like progression maps as well. When you're targeting multiplayer, you need to make sure you have a big map pool in today's market. Like you need to be launching with like 8, 10 maps so that you're not playing the same crap over and over again, because then that does get very stale and old. Black Ops 6 we've been playing the past couple of weeks and it's fun. And the thing I said yesterday while we were playing as well, it's the strongest Treyarch Call of Duty game I've ever played. Feeling and stuff. The reason I gave to that is they finally caught up with Infinity Ward. It feels like the quality of everything across the board, whereas it always felt they were kind of lacking behind. But I I would probably toss my vote to Helldivers too,
Yep.
personally. Like it's just there's nothing else on this list that garners community the way that that does,
Yep.
and
I don't.
it's a multiplayer game. So
Yeah, I don't have much to add. I agree 1000% with everything you said. My vote goes to Helldivers 2 as well.
I didn't even know there was a Super Mario Party game released.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Nintendo, man. I'm really sorry.
Now here goes the fun category. Best adaptation, recognizing outstanding creative work that faithfully and authentically adapts a video game to another entertainment medium. Shout out to Like a Dragon. Arcane, Fallout, Knuckles, Like a Dragon, Yakuza, Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft. Have you seen the Like a Dragon stuff yet?
Has it even did it come out?
I don't know.
This is the thing. I've not seen. I knew it was coming out. Let me quickly check while you
Yeah, I'll
talk.
ramp. I mean, listen, it's gonna be either Fallout or Arcane. From what I've heard about Arcane, Arcane sounds excellent. Haven't seen it. I watched the first two episodes of Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft. It's fine. Um, Fallout was fucking awesome, man. I really, really enjoyed Fallout. I think that there's maybe some recency bias. Arcane just came out. I think I'm gonna go with Arcane for my pick. I need to watch that, but if I'm being honest, I just don't watch TV at all unless it's something that I really have some interest in. Um,
That's so tragic.
what's that?
It's the entire season is live and it's had 28 reviews.
Jesus, man. Yeah, I
It's
guess
had no marketing. I didn't like it's something we both were even like trying to keep an eye out for. And I had no idea it launched.
I,
That's
I guess Fallout or I guess Amazon doesn't necessarily get every they don't hit home runs at every at bat because they killed it with Fallout, but seem to struggle with Infinite
I
Wealth.
I won't, yeah, I'll watch that before I don't know what the hell that was. I don't know if that kicked up on the mic.
I didn't hear it.
It was a popping of like a drink, I think.
Oh, Jesus.
Um yeah, I'll give an opinion and I think because I think it's also not English, of my understanding. Maybe that's why it's maybe thrown people off. I think it might be subtitled.
Mm.
So that might be why. But Fallout Man for me.
Okay. Go a little bit more
I
Hollywood.
I because not only that, it's Arcane I'm sure is really good. It's something I do need to watch as well. So I actually played they've done a few League of Legends games ported to consoles, like touching into different genres, and there was one that I'm drawing a blank on the name of that I really did enjoy that I played through to the very end. So I'm sure it's something that I would enjoy. But I had no hope that Fallout would actually do anything. I it felt like only after it came out did they actually push to market it because it was getting so much hype. Like this is something that shows the difference between Sony and Microsoft and where their priorities are at. You're telling me that that is that good, and you didn't even capitalize on like, dude, just port like a Fallout 3 and New Vegas collection, modern consoles. Like it's so easy and low effort, and you would have just sold millions for basically no effort. It would have
Yeah.
sold itself because you've
At
seen this Borderlands bombed this year, this
and the
movie.
game still, yeah.
And the CEO was like, yeah, the movie sucked, but we sold copies of the game. That was his
Yeah.
response. And it's like, because yes, of course you would.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, Fallout for me.
Well, and also, I mean, if you release that game on modern platforms at a $60 price tag opposed to $10 on sale, like making some pretty pennies off that.
Hmm?
Yeah, I agree. But you go and Fallout, I'm going with Arcane for best adaptation. I wish I had more time to watch, television and shit, but it's kind of the thing where for me, if I watch a bunch of TV, I'm not going to be able to play as many games, and I just value playing
Games are
games
getting
more.
longer.
This year was rough, man. This year was real. I'm to a point now where I just totally tapped out. I'm like, if it, I'll play something for a couple hours, and if it doesn't immediately catch my interest, I'm like, nope, I'm good. I'm totally okay. I'd rather spend the money and save the time. Um, Now we are going to most anticipated game. And do you want to do this on the count of three, Loon, or do you want to delay the inevitable? Now we'll talk it out. Most anticipated game, recognizing Jesus. Most anticipated game, recognizing an announced game, yeah, that's how anticipation works, that has demonstrably illustrated potential to push the gaming medium forward. I can say demonstrably, but I can't say announced. Wonderful. Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotai, Grand Theft Auto 6, Metroid Prime 4, and Monster Hunter Wilds are the nominees. Loon. Uh, I don't even really know how to start this one. Let's talk about each game for a second. Death Stranding 2. You've been playing Death Stranding 1. I'm trying to
I
figure out
have
some way to do a good hosting job of not immediate. And I just got my cursor on the. Yeah,
on nothing in particular.
I swear to God, that's unintentional. Are you excited for Death Stranding 2, Loon?
I actually am. I think I've
Okay.
said it before. I'm a big Kojima fan. So although I didn't go and play through and finish on PS4, it's more so I hate the controller. Like it's a struggle for me to finish games on PlayStation because I just don't enjoy playing with the controller. Now that it's on Xbox, I need to be very careful. I don't want to like really heap praise on it because it has flaws. It's not it didn't sink its teeth in me like say Veilguard did. Like I'm playing games in between it, but I feel like that's also the way the game is meant to be played. You can't sit there and blitz through Death Stranding as your only game. Like that would drive you insane. Like that's 40 hours of delivering packages for the most
Yeah.
part. I like the concept of it though, and I'm really interested because I didn't expect it would get a sequel. I didn't
Right.
finish it and I didn't look at any like story spoilers and stuff, so I don't know how the hell like it's left. It's not something that I would have ever thought would get a sequel. I thought that that's something that would be like a one and done thing. So clearly it's got staying power and he's got something else to tell. And what I've liked so far is the themes that they're tackling. The beauty of Kojima is his writing is awful. Like I'll take these strays. Anyone that wants to dish it out in the comments, like I'll happily fight it. His writing is dog shit. But the themes that he does and the way he connects it into the world and make you believably care about it, that's where he nails it because it is
Yeah.
just bad dialogue.
It kind of goes into that, like, it's weird. It's almost like, stay with me here. It's almost like Kojima is how Sam Lake wrote Alan Wake. Like Kojima is actually more like Alan Wake than Sam Lake is. You know what I mean? Where Kojima is truly putting pen to pad on some wild shit and throwing it out there into the ether and then somehow materially affecting the real world off of his crazy outlandish predictions of what like Kojima is prophecy in some
Yeah,
instances. And it's like, how does a dude who writes such crazy shit end up being so prophetic? And it's like a mixture of insanity and brilliance, but there is a campy, once again, a campy sort of uncomfortable tone there with almost everything that he writes. And it's like, this is so stupid, but it's so like captivating.
yeah. No, absolutely. Because all I am doing is delivering packages.
Yeah.
That is the and people say like it's you shouldn't like dig it out for just being this as a walking simulator or that. But like at its core, that is what you're doing from A to B is delivering packages, yet he's somehow woven in something to keep you doing that.
Yeah.
There is something you get your little nuggets of batshit insanity cutscene, and that's enough to keep me going. I've he made me deliver a pizza today, right? And I can't tip it upside down. That level of like forefront, like if you're stacking it, it can't go upside down because then you would ruin it, and then that would. And I'm like, oh, I can't do that, man. I got to worry about my likes.
That's so
Who the
funny.
hell has that power over me other than he's
That is
making me worry
so
about a
funny.
fucking a virtual pizza box for Christ's sake.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'll be jumping into to Death Stranding 2 as well. I never finished the first game. I have zero interest in finishing that first game. I thought the gameplay, I would have rather dug my head into a fucking pile of sand and never removed it than experience more of that fucking video game. But like you said, there's something captivating about it in anything that Kojima puts out. I don't give a shit what it is. I'm going to be playing it day one.
You'll test it.
Yes, I'm going to test anything he puts out. Some of it's not going to land. Some of it's going to be Metal Gear Solid 2 that I think is one of the most well written. And that is one instance I will say where, yeah, it is totally batshit crazy. But in terms of that prophetic nature of Kojima, that's one where it's like even bar for bar, like when you're just looking at the writing in that game 30 years later almost, you're like, yo, this dude was on his shit with that
Mm.
game. It is incredible writing. It batshit writing, but also incredible.
Yeah, it's the themes that he lands on. That's what I was talking about. The way he describes the things and then puts in the weird shit is always just baffling. But it's he just has foresight of like where the
Yeah,
world is going at all times, and it's scary. It is really scary, like predicting like the effect the internet would have on people, and then we get a pandemic. You just so happen to like,
dude,
mm.
it's crazy. It is that dude is man. Anywho, Ghost of Yotai, I'm excited for that. I finished the Tsushima, my game of the year for 2020. I'll be diving into Yotai day one. Metroid Prime 4. We'll skip. I'll probably pick up the Switch 2 and jump into Metroid Prime 4. Monster Hunter Wilds will be my first Monster Hunter game, but I am jumping into that one. Out of the rest of these, Ghost of Yotai, Metroid Prime 4, Monster Hunter Wilds, any you were more or less excited for than the others?
So I know we're gonna say the same thing as to what's going to win this. But I'm going to say this right now. I think a lot of people are going to be blown away by Monster Hunter Wilds because they're in your boat. It's kind of like the world blew that series up big time in popularity. Like it was the biggest selling numbered release and stuff like that and pushing it forward. You saw the beta numbers, man. Like it was insane how many people tuned into that. This is going to be something special.
It is.
This is I could see this if they land and they land well. If GTA 6 comes out next year, that could be something where it's not a cakewalk to win Game of the Year.
Oh,
I'm
no,
gonna
I
be a
agree.
hundred. I'm gonna be 100% like Monster Hunter Worlds could easily jump on GTA 6's back and crack its skull open.
Yeah. I think that GTA 6 has so much more to lose. You
Yeah.
know, like I think GTA 6, even a couple flaws, is going to
Mm.
get dinged to a level that like no other game is going to be under that level of microscopic scrutiny. Whereas Monster Hunter Wilds, like I even if it's just more Monster Hunter worlds and a few additions, like people are going to be fucking
Yeah.
giddy to jump into that thing. But I think when we talk about anticipation,
Mm.
that even leans more towards GTA 6, where it's under such a microscope that everything will be examined to the most minute detail. And I don't think that any other game is even, for me, even in the realm of like, you would really have to be talking about a Half-Life 3. And even that, like, I understand people draw that
Even
comparison. It's not close.
no, it's not because Half-Life is only important and people care about it inside game.
Yeah.
Like gamers' mindset. GTA 6 is a pop culture phenomenon when it's going to
Yeah.
come out. Every time it comes out, it dominates. It's like it's literally Dragon Quest for the world instead of just how it affects them in Japan. Like they've said this time and time again, and it's true. This game will affect how the world is run for the first opening week of its release. You are going to see people not going to work,
Yeah.
lacking productivity.
Yeah.
It will have an effect. What other game on this list can you say will have that? None. So
No.
yeah, it's why we are joking and nudging each other and being like, well, duh.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
so we're both going GTA 6 for anticipation.
Hmm.
All right. We then, I think we're about done, ain't we? Content creator of the year, I don't care. Esports game, I don't care. Esports athlete, I don't care. Esports team, I don't care. Player voice. Okay, so that's okay. So that's gonna be where actually, yeah, let's do this. What do you think's gonna win player's voice game of the year?
Ooh.
I'm gonna go ahead and say Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah, I see people shouting that out in the ether so much.
Yeah.
And I feel like if it is, because it is players' voice, I don't think they probably have restrictions of what countries can vote.
No, I don't think
So if
so.
China's like tuning in, which I don't even know if they can, I don't know how they function, but like you guys are gonna get outvoted like a billion to one
Yeah,
on anything.
that
So yeah,
that's
I think Black Myth
that's
probably
my
sweeps
logic
them.
as well. My logic is like just China alone, the Chinese vote alone will have Black Myth um as the winner. But I mean, I do think that it kind of you're not wrong at all that it's a smash hit in China much more than it is in the West, or really anywhere else. But it's a hit, dude. Like it's a
Hmm.
humongous hit across all, it's a global hit. Countries across the world are playing that game outside of China. And I do think that like the Western games media seems dismissive of Black Myth Wukong to a certain degree, which kind of bums me out. Where it's like, let's praise this thing for being as successful as it is, a single player, non-microtransaction dependent game coming out of a new region that's blossoming in AAA console game development. Like, let's praise that a little bit.
I think this is the where I draw the hypocrisy is I think they're viewing it under the microscope of like it's just another Souls-like kind of thing, where it's that's why they're dismissing it. But you, like you said, you nailed every point as to what they should be opening their eyes on. This is China's first big push out. This is a massive hit for their studio for the first like release. It's yeah, it deserves all the praise and more. Like it shouldn't just be garnered under as just another Souls like. Really.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally agree, man. Well, Loon, that is all of the categories that and I'll kind of go over it real quick to make sure we're not forgetting anything, but I think we covered everything, man. Um, yeah, I think we dove into everything that we're at least going to have some knowledge of. So
Yeah.
hit us in the comments down below, my good people. Let us know what you think will be nominated for the Game Awards 2020, or not nominated. Jesus Christ, that the
What will
nominees are.
win?
Which nominee will win for Game of the Year? All these different categories. If you want to run through them all, I'm happy to read all of your winner predictions. If you just want to hit Game of the Year, happy to see what you think will win Game of the Year as well. Whatever you are feeling passionate about, fire away in the comments section. Uh, how do you feel about Erd Tree knocking Infinite Wealth out of the running? It's
Hmm.
I don't know. To be honest, like I it kind of sucks, but I, I don't really give a fuck.
I wasn't surprised if I'm being honest. I think I'd like to hear as well what the biggest upset of something that's missing. Like
Yeah,
like something that maybe like with what you said about infinite wealth, but like something that we haven't thought about. What there has to be a game that we completely just whooshed over our head and people are like,
totally.
my God, like how did this not get nominated in any of these categories or this specific category where it absolutely excelled at?
Totally. Yeah, I let us know the biggest snubs. Some shit
Hmm.
that was not nominated for categories where it definitely should have been because like you said, we're coming off this extremely fresh. Haven't really had time to think about that in depth. So I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on that. And I'll be recording my Game Awards announcement predictions video. I'd like to record it today. Probably not going to have enough time to do that today. So maybe tomorrow I'll get on that. So the Game Awards is rolling and it's not going to stop rolling. And I'm gonna milk it for all it's worth. We
Hell
appreciate
yeah.
you. We appreciate you good people for tuning in and subscribe because this is not the only award show in town. Bitch ass Keely, what you think about that? We're coming for your crown. The unnecessary game awards is where it's really at, where we don't have announcements because nobody wants to announce anything on a channel with 1,700 subscribers and we don't have celebrities because no celebrity wants to hang out
Because
with
we're
us.
not EA shills, yeah.
Yeah, because we get paid the big bucks by EA, and you don't put Dragon Age in your award show. You didn't receive that check like we did. No, man, but it's we're
Uh,
gonna do our own award show. I'm pumped to do that. Loon and I are we're gonna go through a bunch of different categories, jot down all of our favorite games for each of the categories, and we are going to be diving deep in that episode on a bunch of different categories. So stay tuned, subscribe for that. It's going to be a
Yeah,
fun time.
because it's not just these types of categories. There are a little bit
No,
more spicy categories in there as well that, the Game Awards hasn't touched on. That we just wanted to add a little bit of fun take on it. Like this, at the end of the day, that's what your own award show should be. It's
absolutely.
having fun and then celebrating titles that definitely deserve a nod.
Yeah, and also shitting on some titles that deserve to be shitted on. We we
Absolutely.
we got some negative categories in there as well. We're not the positivity committee. So stay tuned for that and all the end of the year content. Be doing my most underrated games of the year, be doing yeah, oh also, we should mention we're both going to be doing a game of the year ranking this year. Loon's going to be doing his game of the year ranking. I'm going to be doing mine in traditional tier maker fashion. And we got a cool little spin we're going to do on Loons. I think that because I just didn't want to do two back-to-back game of the year rankings with the exact same format. Because it's like, I don't know, have one way, one the other way, mix it up, see if people are like, hey, dude, this fucking rules. We really like this different take on it. And it's like, okay, well, maybe we'll do that. Or maybe we'll just keep them separate going forward, different styles for different for each person have their own different style of game of the year ranking. Just to mix up content, keep it fresh. That's sort of my idea on it. And yeah, a lot of good shit on the way. So stay tuned, my good people, and we shall see you very soon. Goodbye.
See you later.
All right.